You've heard the stories from the travelers here at the podcast. You've felt the rhythm of the Medina through your headphones. And now, I want to personally welcome you into the fray. I am hosting an exclusive small group Imperial Series tour for just 12 of our listeners. 8 days of deep culture, hidden gems, and the Morocco I know by heart. This isn't just a tour. It is a seat at our table. Space is very limited, so visit destinationsmorocco.com and book your spot today. Welcome back to another incredible episode of Destination Morocco podcast. And this episode, we also have Ted, the producer. Welcome back, Ted.
Hey.
Again, it's always a pleasure. It's always a lot of fun to have you join me in these episodes. So it's really, really fun for me to talk to you and to chat and give the audience definitely, yes, and give the audience some incredible advice, really good, helpful content. So what do you have in store for us today, please, Ted?
Well, we were thinking of something a little different and a different angle. We always talk about, kind of why you should go to Morocco and things to see and do, and as in the research and the planning of a trip. Well, what happens after you've booked? You've made the decision, you're going, that's awesome, we can't wait to see you there. But what happens next, once you've booked the trip? So there's various steps and things to prepare, and some of the timing, I think, involved with that as well. So, particularly for travel agents who have their customers, their clients, right? And what's the role of the agents involved? So really it's just, kind of not skipping over that step, but really be conscious of what happens after you've booked your trip, because there's still a few things to sort out, I guess. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it starts with, making sure you have the right travel documents and visas.
Definitely.
If they're required. We should talk about that.
Absolutely. A lot of countries, like the US, Canada, you don't really need a visa to travel to Morocco. You're good with just your passport for 90 days, 3 months. You're good.
Yeah.
So that gives you plenty of time to go do your vacation and come back. And also, I highly recommend registering. It's called the STEP. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's a smart travel program. Yes, it is really, really important for you to register. It's the U.S. Department of State. The program is called Smart Traveler Program, STEP. This really gives the embassy your exact location. They know exactly where you're at all the time. So just in case if something were to happen while you're traveling to Morocco or actually traveling anywhere else, it's really, really important. That domain name, again, it's mytravel.state.gov. It takes you a few minutes to register, and it's really, really, really helpful. And like Ted said, there's no need for any vaccination to travel to Morocco at the moment. So just don't forget to do it. Really
now,
important.
for something like a STEP, is that something the individual traveler has to do, or can their travel agent do that for them?
They actually have to do it themselves.
Right.
So, and when you travel, this is the benefit, again, when you're traveling with a travel agent, they have done this in different locations globally, so they know exactly the steps to take for you, to do before your actually trip takes place. So,
so they'll show people where to go. The client has to actually fill in the details. But
yes, if you're from Canada, I'm sure the website is going to be different.
We have a similar thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we did that when we went 3 years ago, and just to make sure that they know you're there, because something happens, then they know who they're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so and then other prep involves, again, especially for the travel agent, they're going to want to know if any of their clients have dietary issues or
for sure.
mobility issues and things like that to prepare for.
Yes, that's really, really important. And the reason why, Ted, because we've talked about this again in the past. You see the riads, and we do recommend them all the time, especially when you have a small group of travelers or you have a family of 2, 4, maybe 6 traveling. We want them to have that experience, but a lot of those riads, some of them are not really accessible by cars, so there's a little bit of walking involved. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 15, 20 minutes. And also some of them may have stairs. You have to climb upstairs from the normal, street, few stairs, then maybe a few more stairs, then you get to the riad, and the riad itself has stairs. And some of those stairs are really not like, small, but they're big. So it's very important if you have guests that they have mobility issues or knee issues, make sure that the Riyadh doesn't have those steps, but also make sure, hey, can they stay at the first level? Now, this is really important. And again, this is a cultural difference or miscommunication sometimes, because to us, first level is ground level. You see what I'm saying? So when you say first level to Morocco, that's the second floor.
Right.
So just make sure you emphasize ground level, because I know some of them, a lot of them actually, they do have rooms available on ground level, because if you say the first level, automatically in Morocco, it is considered to be the second level.
Yeah, that's good to remember. Yeah, so we talked about this a bit before, but what is the alternative then if you have someone with the mobility issues and they just aren't comfortable staying in a place with so many stairs? Like, they could stay at a hotel. Could they still go and visit a riad just to at least see what it's like?
Of course.
Yeah.
Not all the riads have stairs, by the way. It's just some of them. Just make sure, if you're going through with us, we know where to put you, because we've been there. We've been working with those guys for some time. So we know the ones will say, hey, this is a good fit for this type of travelers. This is not a good fit for this type of travelers. And we'll do that for you. But if you're going through your travel agent or traveling by yourself, you really need to ask and make sure, hey, do they have any stairs? Are they easy accessible by car? Now, we talk about the Medina, we talk about Fas, the Medina and Marrakesh, the square. In the 2-mile radius of the square, Jam Al Fna Square, there are about 700, probably more now, accommodations in terms of riads and hotels. So in that area, many times it's not accessible by car. So your driver or your car or company or tour company, whatever, they'll drop you off somewhere, and then you still have to walk with your luggage to that riad. So just ask those questions, because again, it's really, really important. Now, a lot of the riads, they have porters. So they will dispatch a porter to you, and they will meet you at that specific spot, and the porter will help you with the luggage. Problem solved. So the same thing, for example, when we talked last time about hot air balloons, sometimes that's where the car is going to meet you, because the driver who's coming to pick you up, they are not going to leave the car unattended and walk all the way to your riad. For example, if it's somewhere hidden, because the car may get, something vandalized or, something, and go and get you. No, the driver will stay with the car. Then the riad will have somebody walk with you all the way to the car. Okay. So it just those details when you're making those reservations that are really, really, really important. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, here's a question then. So if people need, a specific type of accommodation in their tour package, it'll say, you're staying in Marrakesh at a riad. But do you need to sort out the exact riad and all that before the booking? Or do you book the tour and then sort out the specific place to stay?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I'll take you back to the process when we build the itinerary. Okay. When we build the itinerary, when we do it, whether it's a B2C or a B2B with advisors, it takes a little bit of back and forth. We present them with the first draft. 99% of the time, we need to make changes and adjustment after the agent represents it to their guests. Sure. So they'll say, hey, I like this, I need to change this. This experience I don't really care for. I want to do this experience instead. So we go back and forth. So the process of really approving the itinerary can vary between 2 weeks to 3 or 4 weeks. Making all the changes, taking into consideration not everybody is available at all times. So when we do that, we say, hey, in Marrakesh, this is the riad that we have selected. And we'll give them a name, for example.
Okay.
And, in Fes, this is the riad we selected, and so forth and so forth. And then we say, or similar in terms of accommodation. So by the time the client makes a decision, because sometimes we'll go through 3 or 4 revisions of the itinerary, and, 2 months later, we still haven't finalized the itinerary. By then, that riad that we initially selected for them is already booked. Yeah. So now when that happens, we just inform them and say, hey, the riad that we initially talked about in Marrakesh is actually booked now, because we cannot really hold an accommodation. We can say, hey, this is good for 2 weeks. We cannot hold the room for a long, long time. And then when the itinerary is finalized, then it becomes a proposal. So when the guest or the agent pay or put a deposit for their clients, that's when the booking is actually confirmed. So when it's 2 people, 4 people, 6 are traveling, it's different. The deposit is less, but then when you have a group, a lot of those accommodations, you could be booking the whole Riyadh for a small group.
Yeah.
Because there's not too many rooms. So they want, everything paid. That way they're guaranteed, and they cannot hold something for you and they have somebody else come in, and it's just going to create a conflict. So booking the tours, it's a little bit different. Sometimes can be challenging when it's a busy time or a last minute thing. So just give yourself some time to book ahead of time and do it the right way. So
the point is that you need to make the decisions on the exact Riyadh you want to stay. Again, if there's mobility issues or other things, location, when you ultimately book and pay at least the deposit.
yes, 100%, yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. All right. What else on our list here? We, in terms of preparation, there's, medical issues, health issues, medication,
Yes.
knowing what you need and also what you can get there in Morocco. So it depends on the person, but I mean, maybe your standard kind of medication, how accessible, how easy is it to kind of walk into a pharmacy and get something you need?
The pharmacy in Morocco it's really different than the US, for example. Ted, it's a really good question, by the way. In Morocco,
you say it was
can,
different.
Yeah, I know. Because you can get a lot of medication or a lot of medicine that here in the US, you have to have a doctor give you, a prescription for it. In Morocco, you don't. Like antibiotics, you can just walk into the pharmacy and say, hey, I need this, or whatever, they'll give it to you. Now, some medication, of course, is different. When we're talking, like the incident that we had with the heart condition with one of our guests, we had to take her to the ER, and she spent the night in the ER, but the doctor was able to give her the same medication that she was taking, and that she was good. But you're probably going to need a doctor's note or something to get that type of medication from the pharmacy. But the pharmacy in Morocco is very flexible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then beyond that, of course, I mean, it's up to the individual, but the travel agent can remind their clients to, make sure that you have, the medication you need, and they should give a list or the information to their agent as well, right? So they know.
Yes, I totally agree, just in case, because it's really, really important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I understand if you're wary about going to Morocco by yourself. There's a lot to figure out. And it is a country that's not yet as familiar as those in Europe. But if the only option is a massive group tour, how enjoyable is that? This November, from the 8th to the 15th, I'm doing something different. I am personally leading an intimate group of people throughout the imperial cities at a price of just $19.95 per person. As a native of Marrakesh, I want to show you the Morocco I love, the hidden spot, the private artisan workshops, and the quiet Riyadh that big tour buses can even reach. The catch? There are only 12 spots total. Reserve your spot right now at destinationsmorocco.com and join like-minded travelers just like yourself.
We could talk a bit about essentially what's included and what's not included in a tour, and so people know what to maybe pack for and what to plan, what to budget for, and as part of their planning after they book the trip, but they know also what to kind of prepare for as a result.
Oh, sure. It's, again, when we build the itinerary, we send it to the agent, and there's a part where it says what's included in the tour and what's not included. Now, we do the same thing for the B2C. A lot of people, they don't really pay attention to this part. I'm being very honest. The reason, because they're not really focused on it at that moment. They're focusing on the price, they're focusing on the tour, they want to get this done and so forth. So that part really gets ignored most of the time. And again, this is one of the things that we do before they travel to Morocco, is we go over all the details of the itinerary. We make sure, okay, let's look at what's included. The car and driver are with you literally 24/7. That's your constant. If you're going in a group, the constant will also be your national tour guide or tour leader. If it's a group of two, 2 people, 4 people, 6 people traveling, then the car and driver is still the constant. Then you'll have the local guides. Then, breakfast is included in all accommodations. Again, when we're doing, for example, what is that? We're doing when we're doing Imli, for example, doing Middle, for example, Bumal Dad's Valet, we're doing Zagora, anything in the southern part of Morocco, Merzouga, our food, dinner, if we spend the night, dinner is included. Breakfast is also included.
Because it's very remote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you have the entrance fees. For example, you're going to visit, Majorel Gardens in Marrakesh. Then we're not going to, everything is done online. So you're not going to wait, at that time, you wait in a line to get your ticket or buy it. It has to be done before. For example, the same thing doing, Volubilis. We take care of that for you. So anything that we know that you have to pay for in advance, we take care of for you in advance. So that way you're just saving on time and really immersing yourself in that experience. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's good to know.
I wanted to add the Hassan II Mosque visit. It's included. I think per person it's about, I would say because of the US dollar exchange, almost between $15 to $20, depending on the exchange. In the past, they have a museum, just in case a lot of people don't know. They have a museum. It's a beautiful, beautiful museum. It shows everything about the mosque from the time it was starting to be built until the moment it finished. And also now they're expanding a few things outside the mosque, and you can see them. There's a little bit of construction. So the entrance used to be inside the mosque, $15 or $20. Then to the museum, $15 or $20. Now they have one entrance for both, and it's still the same price.
Really?
So yes, yes. So if you're just gonna go and watch the mosque from outside, you don't pay anything. But if you're gonna go inside and do the museum, then that ticket for the museum gives you also access to inside the mosque. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously on tours and stuff, this would be the case anyway. But with the mosque, can you only go in as a tourist as part of a guided tour?
That's a good question. Well, I've only been there with customers.
Yeah.
So, well, yes, because I think if you buy the ticket, you can go.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need to buy the ticket because it's open to everybody. Now, they have the first visit, I think. Now, the time changes depending if it's summertime, if it's Ramadan, if it's winter time. It's normally around 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30 or stuff like that. But you get your ticket, you go in, and nobody really bothers you. They give you a little plastic bag where you can put your shoes and go inside. I highly recommend the local guide, though. And you can hire somebody on the spot. It's not an issue. So you'll see them there, you hire them. And you're
I guess then, in other words, it's like, if you, I mean, this is kind of more if you're traveling on your own, but if you did show up at the mosque and maybe it's a timing issue, but you just wanted to go in and wander around on your own, is that allowed? Or do you have to be part of a guided tour?
No, you don't have to be a part of the guided tour. Just buy the ticket and you go inside. Yes. You can just go by yourself. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I was curious about that.
But if
I was a bit off topic.
Yeah,
but it's good to know,
if you're a local and you want to go in, just wait until the prayer time. You'll go for free. Yeah, you can just wander around for a little bit. So
yeah. And of course, it's very well worth visiting. It's stunning structure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the highlights for sure. Okay, let's talk about the big topic, which is insurance.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think, again, especially in the frame of like a travel agent, I mean, agencies usually have their partners and they can kind of guide people. But is there anything that the travel agent particularly needs to know about Morocco or information they need to get from you to then help with their clients who have booked a tour and now they need insurance?
I think when it comes to insurance and travel advisors, most of the ones that I've talked to, they're very equipped. They know exactly the company to book or to choose for their guests. Yeah. There are a few different choices, obviously, but Morocco is a little different. A little bit when it comes to this. There's I talk about it all the time. There's Alliance some time ago. They have an office everywhere else. And I know they have local offices in Morocco. And I've seen them during the pandemic. I've seen what they have done for the travel industry, for the travel advisors, and it's just really, really incredible. The second one that I can think of is Chubb, Travel Guard, I think, Travel Safe, something like that. And there are a few companies that are really, really important to get to know, to get to work with. The travel advisors, they know them better than I do, actually. When it comes to the B2C, I do make some recommendations, but always ask your travel advisor. Cancel for any reason. and you look at insurance A versus insurance B versus insurance 3. The basic plan, how much is it? Out of pocket, what's the coverage? Is it $1 million? Is it $2 million? Then what's the premium package? Sometimes you just need a basic package. It has enough coverage. So, it depends on, the state, date of birth, the cost of the tour. So, and again, your advisor, they know exactly what to ask, and they have that information already. If you have been traveling with them for a while, they have literally all the information they need. That they can get you a quote really, really quick. So those are the things. If you're doing this on your own, just by yourself, travel insurance it's really, really important. It is an investment, and it's worth every penny. It'll cost you maybe $100, couple of $100 per person, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Highly recommend it. Yes.
And that relates to the next question, which is about, well, what if people need to make changes after they've booked? So, maybe they want to add a person. Maybe someone can't go and they need to remove a person. Maybe they, for whatever reason, they want to add a couple extra days, or they have to come home early, Any of those kind of fairly substantial changes. I mean, how doable is that? And for the travel agent, what steps do they need to take?
For the most part, they're really doable, especially if we have time to make those changes. This happens quite a bit with the group tours because you don't really know how many people are going to be traveling with you. So let's say, for example, we are in 2026. Some people are already working on 2027.
Yeah.
April, maybe September, October, November tours. So they'll say, hey, you know what? I have 10 people booked. And then between now and then, many things can happen. And this happened in the past. This traveler A is not going anymore for whatever reason. Now we're going to find somebody else to replace them, even though they put the deposit or they paid. So those things we work out with the travel advisor. But in most cases, we were able to always make those changes.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there a deadline maybe for when, people can make changes? How last minute can that happen?
I mean, for groups, I would say last minute is probably 3 or 4 months, because we don't want to have that issues not available or the availability, especially, having one traveler being put somewhere else different than the rest of the group. So, and also because of the group, we have a little bit of restrictions in terms of the accommodations. If we're doing the Riyadh, it's a little bit restricted in terms of availability versus you have a hotel. So if it's a hotel, it's still decent. It can be challenging if it's a high season, but in most cases it's doable. So we've seen it in the past. You'll have sometimes Marrakesh is really busy. Let's say, for example, in October, because they have some MICE events, they have some tournaments, they have some things happening in the city, and that can be challenging for us. So that's why it's really important for the groups. 3 months may seem like it's a long time, but it's really not a long time. So we just have to be informed right away for making those changes.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I want to circle back to dietary issues. We touched briefly on that, but I think a little more detail. So if someone has food allergies or, other dietary issues, and they tell their travel agent, what does the travel agent need to tell you? Do you need to inform every single restaurant, but how kind of organized and structured does that need to be?
That's a really good question, Ted. We do the best that we can to accommodate all the dietary restrictions, but sometimes even us are limited in a way, depending on where we travel. So, for example, we are limited in many different ways when we go to the southern part of Morocco. So I'll give you an example. You have somebody that just want to have fish all the time. Anywhere you go, you'll have it fresh. Even Marrakesh and whatever city, even Fes, even though there's no ocean, but they have fresh seafood every day. Then when you go to the southern part of Morocco, it's just not available in terms of the freshness, in terms of the way and all that stuff. So that can be very, very challenging. So if it's something, like, hey, I'm vegetarian, that's not an issue. Some of the dietary, restrictions are okay, but when it comes to certain ones that it's really details, we can have limits in terms of accommodating the guests. Yeah. So especially, again, in the south of Morocco versus the north of Morocco.
Can you bring, as a tour operator, can you bring food with you to some of the remote places, you know? Is that kind of feasible? Like
We
in a
can do
cooler
it
or something?
I talk about, and I say this many times, Morocco, we don't have an ice culture, for example, with the drinks. You go to a restaurant and say, hey, can I get a Coke with ice or iced tea or whatever? And you get plenty of ice. In Morocco, you say, hey, can I get a Coke with ice? They'll give you one or two ice in the Coke. So they don't have that culture. But, when we go on tours, I always make sure we have ice in the coolers. So, and even when you have ice for quite some time, you have to change it. And we did this in the southern part of Morocco, where we did not have ice, actually. But there's a guy at a small city right before going to the desert. He puts bottles of water, big, 2-liter bottles of water in the freezer for a couple of days for us. So when we get there, it's frozen. So it lasts you a couple of days. So, but beyond that, you definitely need to find fresh ice somewhere, and you can do it that way. Not an issue at all. But generally, it's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I'm thinking if someone is on a tour and they have certain food they need to bring, and I mean it has to be reasonable, something that's fairly small, I guess, obviously easy to travel with. But if they need a cooler, if they need a place to store that food or liquid, keep it cool, is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we always have a cooler inside the vehicle, whether it's 6 passengers, 17 passengers, and a minibus. You will always have a cooler. Yes, that's not an issue at all. Yeah. The cooler is always with the van, so because that's where the water comes with the van, anyways. Yeah. So.
All right, and well, I guess that the guests are welcome to use that if they have.
100%. Yes. Even if we need to get an additional cooler, yes, we can definitely do that. Nowadays they have the ones that you can actually plug into the car and it stays, cool.
That's good idea.
So it's just the frozen part, the ice and stuff, but it can be managed. So.
Okay. Well, I think that pretty much covers it. We talked about, immunizations and visas, which are rarely, it depends where you're from, but, most of the United States, Canada, most of Europe, I'm sure they don't require visas. But one thing that's important to remind people is your passport expiration date. Is there anything specific to Morocco that they look for?
Well, during the pandemic, this was really, really a big issue, especially with the U.S. Services locations that have been, closed, and the passport is something that you really have to do in person. What I recommend, normally they said have your passport available 6 months after you come back to your home from vacation, whether it's Morocco or somewhere else. But I would say make it 9 months just to be on the safe side, because during the pandemic, that was a big issue, and a lot of people got stranded in different countries, and their passport got, expired and stuff like that. So just have it a 9 months. It's a good window. Especially here in the U.S., they give you, your passport is valid for 10 years. In other countries, I think in Morocco, they give us 5 years. And I think that's going to change maybe next couple of years or so.
Yeah, it's useful. They changed that here in Canada not too long ago, where we can get 10-year passports, which is nice.
Absolutely.
You don't worry about it as much.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anything else come to mind for you, but in terms of prep and getting ready for a trip, again, after you've booked?
Yes. After you book, now again, it depends who's traveling. If it's 2, 4, 6 people, a group of 12 or so, I always recommend getting in touch. We need to meet at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to you taking the trip to Morocco. Again, because there are last minute things that probably going to think about, your guests are going to think about that they have not thought of, during the whole process. And then we tell them exactly what to expect and how to expect it. Even though we talked about it in the past, most likely they're going to forget it, so it's fresh in their mind. And then, a day or so before they're traveling, we send the travel advisor the name of the driver. Then we ask them if they want to give our, information to the travelers' families, and they need to get in touch with us and stuff. And if somebody needs a SIM card, we get them a SIM card in Morocco. Most of the time, they just want to have like internet access and a little bit of data and to make phone calls and have internet access. The vehicles are equipped with Wi-Fi devices, so it's
right.
And then if you book and there's a 6 months window, I would say every couple of months is a good time to meet. Again, just to touch base, just to make sure everything is still the same and everything is good, and so forth. Yeah, but I definitely recommend meeting a minimum of 2 times to 3 times before your trip, especially if it's 4 months, 6 months ahead of time.
That's good. Yeah, I like that because often you book a trip and it's 6 or 8 months or more away, and like you do all the planning, the research, you book it, you pay at least the deposit, if not more. And then you kind of forget about it for like 8 months.
Yes.
And it's nice that you guys keep in touch and there's a bit more of that steady communication, right, and contact. So it just makes the whole thing feel that much more real, I think, and not something off in the distance. And did we actually book that thing? Yes. Like it's happening and it feels more living, alive, right, and real. So that's a nice touch.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Agree. Yeah.
All righty. Well, I think that covers certainly the most important things. There's always, I suppose, little tiny details, and we could do an episode on like a packing list. Actually, that's a good idea.
Yes, we haven't done one in a while. Yes, that's going to be really very good one. Yeah,
but again, it's the theme of this one here was after you've booked. So we always talk about one of the reasons why you should go and all the excited things, which is great. But and then what happens to the people they booked? Like we haven't forgotten about you either. Like it's exciting. So what are the next steps? And it's been good to cover some of that here too.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ted.
Good. Well, I'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.